Looking to them up like this, yeah.
That would be a good idea. Then it would have to go to the same with whatever's going on. Yeah.
How are you?
Good.
Fix that. Oh, it's going.
I just said to you, are you?
Okay. Fair enough, I kinda walked into that one. Can we send you that picture later?
Yes, it's coming at 60 seconds.
The police are high priority. Well, we're not due for rain. That's easy.
I know. So what'd you see?
I don't blame you for that.
Yeah, the only thing I did is were two business cards.
Does he need an agenda?
We've got copies on the counter. Brad? You want some?
No, I have
Okay.
mine.
Okay.
You got one?
You do one?
I did have one.
Okay.
Thanks, Paula.
Are you going that way?
No, I got
That's Jenna, that's what I'm giving you. Yep, yep.
It was me, the first time.
Yeah, or some, thank you so much.
We'll call this meeting to order.
Alderman Knauer,
Yes. Here.
Max Heimer,
Yes.
Neville,
Yep.
Longflex, West. Here.
Pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before I recognize our guests, I would like to jump forward in the agenda a little bit, under the first item of old business at the alderman appointment. If that's okay with everybody?
Yes.
At this time, from the straw vote of the council with who they thought was the best candidate, and with your advice and consent, I would like to appoint Mike Barger to the empty alderman seat of Ward 2. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the appointment.
And
Aaron seconds. There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations, Mike.
Thank you.
Our Attorney Jordan here will now give you the oath.
Matt, what's your full name?
Mike.
Or, sorry, Mike.
Start with Michael.
How do you spell your last name, Michael?
D-A-R-G-E-R.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me, please. I, Michael Barger,
I, Michael Barger,
having been appointed to the office of Alderman
having been appointed to the office of Alderman
in the city of Mount Pulaski,
in the city of Mount Pulaski,
county of Logan,
county of Logan,
state of Illinois,
state of Illinois,
do solemnly swear that I will
do solemnly swear that I will
support the Constitution of the United States
support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office of Alderman
the duties of the office of Alderman
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, on to the recognitions of guests. We have Dennis Quinn, Denise Quinn. Was there something you wanted to speak about, or?
Yeah, they did my yard. That's been gonna be done for about 10 years. The ditch when we have the rain, everything flushes up into my yard, and I got water that stays on both ends, cause it's not dug out, right?
You had a chance to look at this,
I
Bill?
looked at it today. A lot of it is backfill, and it just needs to be redone again, approximately from the apartment to the end of the, where the dead end road is.
Where the dead end road would be?
Actually, it should go all the way through, but to get a good start on it, that would be a place that is in need of it, for sure.
Okay.
And she brought that to my attention, and I've known about it, but it's like other things, it's gonna take its toll, so now that I can put this on my list, I can get her going.
Does that sound good?
That sounds wonderful.
Okay. Rick, you have topic water.
Yeah. At the last meeting, there was some discussion by the alderman about not having enough information to make decisions on things. After the last meeting, a man from Illinois American Water called me. I think Gabriel was his name, and he wanted to know if he could sit down with me and talk. So I agreed. And we sat down and talked, and he showed me a newspaper article from January where there were some discussions about expenses and the force main and all the different things that were going on with the city and the water department. And he said that that was his impetus to approach the aldermen individually or in pairs, as I understand it, to discuss a proposal. So he showed me the proposal, and it was full of facts and figures. It seemed like a lot of information, which to me was very interesting and valuable. So I think that this information should be shared in an open meeting in front of the press, in front of all the aldermen, and with the residents of Mount Pulaski, so they can see what this proposal is. It's been interesting that there's been no discussion about this that I've heard of in an open meeting, so.
I don't know what he told the rest of the aldermen, but when I went with him, he said that we couldn't leave with that information, it was confidential.
Exactly.
I also asked for the information, he said that.
I'm gonna tell you how to get it, because he told me that it was confidential, he wouldn't let me take it or see it or make copies of it. So the way to see it and to share it with the community is for the council to put on the next agenda, I guess, or it could be done tonight, to make a request for a proposal from Illinois American Water and they'll make it public. And they'll put it out there for everybody to see. And of course, it's a proposal, it's non-binding, it's open to negotiation, and it would trigger, as I understand it, a series of events where they would call in qualified appraisers, 3, who would value the water and sewer system and tell us what it's worth. So that was just one aspect of many things he discussed. So I think it should be a request made to have a proposal submitted to council that's non-binding, that could be said yea or nay to, but I think it needs to be out there in the public view where people can see it and discuss it. So I would request that.
Okay. Gabriel, as you just walked in, Mr. Voy was discussing the meeting that you had with him.
I was out there.
Did you hear
I
most
just
of
wanted
it?
you to
or-
see my face to know that I was here.
Okay. Can a request like that be made to you, to have that proposal made public to us, or made public to our residents, or?
So the way the request for proposal works, you guys would publish a request for proposal. Your lawyer could probably fill you on the details, or connect with our lawyer for some details about how to proceed with that. It has to be made public, a request for it, so that not only for Illinois American Water, but for also competitors to be able to submit proposals and go through that process.
Okay.
So you may not do anything more than just put it in your paper, but again, I refer you to Ken Jones, our lawyer, and I'd be happy to pass on his contact information to kind of help you through that process.
Who would pay, would this incur any expenses to the city?
Request for proposals?
Yes.
You can confirm that with Ken Jones. I do not believe that there is any cost associated with us or with water companies giving you a proposal.
So the last time we spoke, you said it would take 3 independent appraisers to come out and appraise the system.
Yep.
And when we discussed, it sounded like we would have to pay for the appraisals.
No, as far as I understand, and again, Mr. Jones can clear that up with you guys, each person would be wanting to put in a bid in, they'd have to do their own due diligence, and that would be up to that company as far as I understand it. But I would want to get clarity from Ken Jones who deals with that.
What would be the time frame on that? From the time we put the.
Request for proposal? There is a set standard of how long the request for proposal has to be out there, and then generally it's could be 2 months for those proposals to come through. Again, I'd encourage you to reach out to Ken Jones, and he'll give you the details on that, that length of time, what you should expect. I'm thinking in your request for proposal that you put out, you request for proposals to be in at a certain time, and you review those, and I think some of that timeline is set by the council when you want those back, and the time that you give for those. And Ken would be happy to help you with what he's done in the past.
Can Matt get Ken's contact information from you?
Yep.
If we did go with the request for proposals and the proposals came back, we know that American Water or whatever company would offer us a sum of money for our system. We know the amount of money, I don't know, 1 to 3, maybe $5 million, whatever that number is.
Yep.
Does the request for proposals provide any extra information other than solidifying what that number is?
Would you get an estimate of bills, or what the estimated rate would be?
So a lot of what that's going to be is, it depending on what the purchase price is, there'd be a scale of when Mount Pulaski would work into Zone 1 rates. Our rates are already set. And it would be determining, is it going to be immediately from purchase? We would go into the Zone 1 rates, which are published. They're out there. They don't, we go before the ICC for rate increases. And annualized, it's been like 3.9% per year. So they do go up, but we try to avoid any rate shock as we do that. And again, a lot of that is virtually all of our rate increases are based on investment in infrastructure. And it's non-binding. You do the request for proposals. It's not binding you to anything, and a lot of information is for you.
Another question I have, we'll have a discussion now. If we were to sell completely our system outright to a company, it's been said that the private company is an advantage to running things cheaper. And I think the confusion there, or the mistake, is confusing a private company for a competitive marketplace. If we sell to a private company, what is their incentive to keep the rates low? They already have it, they have nothing to lose, they can raise the rates. Sure, they can go to the Commerce Commission and get approval and whatnot, but really they have no incentive to keep the rates low other than to keep complaints low. Also, when we discussed before, you said that American Water was looking into possibly rethinking how they do it, and one of the requests that I gave you was to, instead of selling the system, to contract out the operation of the system where the city would retain ownership. We could contract for 5, 10 years, whatever that is, and then at the end of the contract, if it's working great, we continue. If it's not working great, we change. Has there been any changement on that?
So Illinois American Water, typically we don't do contract ops. We do have a division of our company called American Water Enterprises, and they do contract ops. And so that would be a different part of the company that would, request proposals could be also made for that, for the contract. But that's done by, American Water Enterprises.
And just
So there's a lot to, moving parts to that. We could discuss that further and what other hybrids of that could look like.
there's a lot of options out there, and there are other companies who will contract out operations of the entire system. So if we truly did not want to run our water plant, we could contract it out and step away from it completely and still retain ownership of it in case in 10 years it wants to change. I know Rick was unaware of the option to sell, and that sounded like a good idea, but I just want to point out that there's a lot of options available. But, and going through this before, at least in what the water committee discussed, we came to what we thought was the best option. But I'm not a proponent for selling the water system, even if we get 3 to 5 million, whatever the amount of money is.
Essentially, that's a loan, right? City gets a certain amount of money, citizens pay back,
Yes.
essentially. So it's not free and clear.
I just would say, I wouldn't necessarily characterize it as a loan. Just, that's not American Water's perspective, but
I'm sure.
however you guys, you see it and wrestle with it when you think about it.
I will not be making a motion to go forward with that.
It's not on the agenda. If one of the aldermen would like to put it on the agenda, at the next meeting, I'm more than welcome. And then we'll start the process of a request for a proposal.
One last thing, I would like to make it public that Aaron is an employee of American Water, and I hope that any decisions or motions made from that, you would excuse yourself.
Okay, anything further on that? Okay, that concludes the recognition of guests. We will now have the approval of the consent agenda, which contains claims and accounts and the minutes. Kelly, would you like to read the claims and accounts?
Sorry about that.
AEP Energy, $2,142.74. Ameren, $1,672.38. Business Builders, $2,450. Blue Cross Blue Shield, $4,725.60. Casey's General Store, $1,464.97. Custom Fiberglass, $680. Frontier Communications, $1,974.80. INB, $4,064.
How much was that one? I think that should be the one for Frontier.
$1,974.80.
Let me double check that one.
INB, $4,064.40. Visa INB, $999.34. Midwest Meter, $3,495. William Stewart, $800. R&M mowing, $1,055.
Any questions about any? The RM mowing, I think I had the same question last year. So we pay half the money to mow the parks?
I believe that's correct, yes. That would just be for Fraser Park.
That was a typo on Frontier, it should be 194.80.
I just saved $1,000. Extra $1,000. 194.80.
Yes.
Is there any further concerns or questions on the claims and accounts? What do you guys say? You hadn't had a chance to look at it yet?
I'd just like to publicly say that the consent agenda also includes the claims and accounts as well as the minutes from the preceding meeting. So when we approve the consent agenda, it's for both paying the bills as well as approving the minutes. I know there's questions on that before. But I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion. Is there a second?
I second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Okay, public comments. Is there any public comments on the agenda items? None? We'll move on to the reports by officers. Police, Tony West.
I have nothing right now, but the wind farm signs are up and keeping everybody back, at least the large loads.
Water and sewer, Matt Presswood.
Yeah, I got several things. First, Charles Hickey and Willie Rentmeister Jr. are both wanting to do new water services, one for the houses Willie's building, another one is for a farm that Charlie has. And I just want to give a little update on it. I'm in the process of getting the parts together. Once we get our parts together, we'll locate the territory, get it dug and completed. I spoke with Farnsworth Group today for a brief time about our force main project, and his basic statement to me was he's made several phone calls, email, transmissions with CN Railroad, but no answers have been received yet or any guidance. I pretty much told him, I said, don't lean on him too terrible hard. I mean, our relationship obviously is already strained. We definitely don't want to strain it any further. Our bulk water sales have slowed up quite a bit. I'm assuming that's because of the rain, which we needed to rain, but kind of slowed that up just a little bit. Another thing I have, it's station number 1, which is down at Subway. Pump number 1, the motor has left the building. I've got a price for a new one, and I'm currently waiting for a price to have that one removed and rewound. Hopefully that comes back relatively close, because the price for the new one to me is insanely high. Obviously you can tell we got some roof issues here above this building. I've been in touch with John Stewart to see what we can do to get that taken care of. We don't need any more water. That's why that light's not working. I'm not brave enough to play with water and electricity at the same time. Other than that, that's pretty much what I have. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Questions for Matt? Streets and alleys, Bill?
All right. Josh and I have got several things completed here. We completed several trees that were on the list for cutting them down and some trimming. There was some trimming done that was not on the list, but was left up to my decision as to some of them that needed to be clipped more or less for truck clearance, mostly just right around the square, couple blocks areas. Completion of the list of all the stumps that were cut out the first time have all been filled and leveled off, and some of them have been refilled because it had settled. so that was taken care of. Now we have a new list of stumps that are already removed, and the dirt or the wood chips have yet to be taken out and replaced with fresh dirt. So I'm just waiting for some dirt to dry after all this rain so it can be handled and put back in place. And then since we've gotten all this rain, a lot of things have been going on. Josh and I both have been jetting out many of these culverts throughout town. A lot of them were done today, and quite successfully.
Good.
I just wish we could get a lot more like we did today, and I think we will. Everything's working fine, and we haven't really had a problem. But we did come across one. It's not a problem. It'll be done tomorrow. It's a, what was it, Josh, a 16-inch?
Yeah.
It was a 16-inch T to the tile that runs out of town towards 121. This is the drain that goes past the bus barn. And we believe this is part of the cause why the bus barn area is a pool, more or less. So we had to start right there at the railroad tracks. We're on our properties. We dug it by hand. It wasn't very deep, so we were able to dig it by hand. We didn't want the backhoe in the position for anybody to get nervous about. So Josh and I will have that part completed tomorrow, and we jetted it out, and that turned out quite well. And then we moved closer towards the bus barn, and if everything goes well, we should have it done by the end of the week. And this rain, believe it or not, has actually kind of helped us. It
Shows the problem areas.
shows the problem areas big
Right.
time, and it's able to help us flush it out so we don't go through back and forth filling the truck full of water every time. Josh has also been out there spraying all the weeds along the concrete roads, in and out of all the cracks. We're trying to get some of that, or he's trying to get that ready, so when the sealer crew comes to seal all the cracks along the road, hopefully those will all be dead, and it'll be a lot easier for the crew that comes in to blow all these weeds out of the cracks. And then at the same time, while he's out there, he made a pretty ingenious little invention for the tractor to carry some material with him that he uses for insecticides that go in each of the drains on all the corners throughout town to prevent and to kill off any larvae for mosquitoes. So he's got a good head start on that already. Hopefully this rain didn't wash it all away, but if it pools anywhere, there's gonna be, that area would have been covered. When it comes time for the mosquito spraying, that I'm kinda leaving up to him for the time being. That's gonna be his call, cause I'm not sure when that would be available to do. So,
Usually we just kind of play it by ear. I mean, when they start biting, we start spraying.
okay.
When they get bad, we start spraying. So,
Other than that, I think things are going well and we're making progress, so we'll go from there. So that's about all I have.
does anybody have anything else for Bill?
I got one thing, had a couple complaints maybe, I don't know the procedure, cleaning out catch basins, people getting their stuff left in their yard. I assume you're gonna let it dry and come shovel it back, I don't know.
That is an intention to be done.
I don't know if you could just put it on the truck as you're going, or if that's too much of a hassle.
No, we can do that, but we got their attention. I realize they don't like that, I wouldn't like it in my yard either. But now that we do have their attention, it's a reminder when they go to mow, don't be throwing it out into the road, because it's just gonna clog up the ditches again, and it's gonna be right back where it was, and we're gonna keep doing the same thing. And there's a lot of things we're getting done, I'd like to keep the motion moving.
Bill, if throwing grass in the concrete streets becomes an issue, the street and alley superintendent does have the authority to write tickets for that. that becomes an issue, we can,
I don't wanna take advantage of it, but if it becomes a problem, yes. I don't have a problem with that.
Well, I'll be the first to get the ticket, because my ditches are getting full.
that applies to concrete streets with drainage tiles. I don't think that's yours.
Anything else for Bill? I did have a thing, Rachel and I have been talking about the alley down there by Sean McCormick's house, and, Rachel and I came to the conclusion that we really don't wanna put in an alley there, you know, just kinda leave it unmaintained the way we have in the past. I spoke with Sean, and I think there's a lot of the residents that don't want a full alley, so I didn't know if it would be, I wanna get the council's input, and obviously Rachel's input, about just putting some rock in the culvert for him so he can get to that apartment, and not doing the entire alley. What's everybody think about that?
What's the address on that? Or what area is that on?
417 West Jefferson.
Okay.
I'm totally fine with that.
How far?
It'll go from the road to about, what, 20 foot past the sidewalk, you thought, Sean?
Yeah, it'd be plenty to give them parking, because they can't, there's no way they can get up off Jefferson Street.
Right.
Yeah.
And it won't take, from what Sean understands, obviously Bill and Josh will look at it, but all it's gonna take is some rock, right? You don't need to
There's
build up the
already a
culvert.
culvert there, there's already entranceway there.
I think it'd be best if we remove a little bit of dirt, so we get a good footing set in so it doesn't wash, because that is a slope there. But 20 foot's about all I was looking to probably do anyway.
That seem all right, just to do the entryway and not the alley? Yes,
I
ma'am?
believe you probably don't have much of a choice, because if I'm not mistaken, that side of Jefferson Street and that property also corners onto Park Street are both no parking zones anytime.
Right,
So where is this person supposed to park their vehicle?
right.
I think it's a good compromise.
Sound good, Bill?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll get on it right away.
All right, anything else for streets and alleys? Treasurer's report, Tricia?
A list of deposits since our last meeting, $26,219.32. That does include the business district tax, which is kept separate, which was $7,772.52.
Anything else for Tricia? Okay, on to old business of the hiring a new accountant. J.M. Abbott and Associates is the only one that has gotten back to me. Did everybody get that email?
Yep.
About what the services would include? Basically, the same thing that Crystal did for us. The only difference is we're gonna be able to save quite a bit of money if we get the bills to them. Crystal lived in town, so it was just kinda convenient for her to come up here and do it. But we'll have to get the bills and obviously the timesheets to them whenever payroll comes. I don't think that'll be that big of a problem, 'cause we could
Well, I was
probably
thinking
scan them,
email
or
them.
we could email them.
Yeah, email
Or if
like a
someone's going to
spreadsheet that I
Lincoln-
gave you guys tonight,
Or if
and then
someone's gotta
I,
go to Lincoln, drive them up there to them, or I'll drive them up there to them.
Right.
It's really not that big of a deal.
and I think initially, I don't know if there's whatever, if Crystal has something on the flash drive that with the, QuickBooks information that has all the, the background history of, what we've done for the last so many months. And I think the best way to do that would just email them a list, if they've got the addresses to generate the check correctly, and then we wouldn't really, I could email that to them as well as the payroll spreadsheet and whatever information she needs that Crystal maybe would have on a flash drive, that they can pull that information from there. And maybe not have to mail the bills there, mail them back and all that, so. And we'll probably have to tweak it along the way as far as, it may not, something may not work at first, but I don't know. So I guess if me or someone would get in touch with Crystal to get that information to Abbott's
Right.
from her, so,
Yeah, that would be good.
yeah.
They do have a contract that they would like us to sign. I tried to get a copy of that contract from them, but they said the way that they normally do it is they wait for board approval and then they'll write up the contract. That means that in order to enter that contract, it would be the council's permission, and consent, that wouldn't be for 2 more weeks. We need an accountant now.
Exactly.
So I would ask that the, when I get a copy of the contract, I could show it to everybody, obviously have Jordan look over it once but in this motion, I would like for the city council to approve me entering into a contract with J.M. Abbott and Associates. That way we can just get the ball rolling. I will not do that until every alderman has got a chance to look at it. That's where we're at with that. The time's not really on our side on that deal, so.
What's the term of the contract, do you know?
I haven't, she would not give me a copy of the contract. I
Or
think
not a
it's just month to month,
Oh,
And a price range on?
around $1,500 a month
Okay.
is what they estimated.
so I think we should go with Abbott's, and then, that's an immediate solution. If we can try to get a cheaper option in the next few months, that'd be great. Maybe that's something the finance committee can look into. Or
Just
see
because
what-
that's gonna really hurt our already
Yeah,
red budget with another $6,000, probably at the minimum more than what we are already paying for our accountant.
yeah. Maybe our finance committee can help figure out ways that we can bring that 1,500 down by doing some of the, either writing the checks ourselves or whatever that looks like, if that's even
I
possible.
think emailing them a spreadsheet, I mean, and what I emailed to Tricia for the payroll, it just has a total of all, everybody's hours and, and then having that, a list, that's gonna, and then they would just have to mail back the checks, but, that's saving a lot of time versus what Crystal had done, but, I don't know.
I'll make a motion to go with Abbott's and give Matt the authority to sign a contract if he sees appropriate.
I second that.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. I will let them know. And the final item on old business is the budget. You had a magic wand in your hand the last week or so?
No, I didn't. I did look through it. The finance committee didn't get a chance to meet, but taking a few, $500 here, $1,000 there, trying to whittle it down a little bit. You can save about 20,000, but we're already in the hole 61. Add 6 on top of that for the additional accounting fees. With the new accounting firm, that makes it to 67. So we almost need a big ticket item. I mean, something, I hate to say it, but salaries is one of our biggest.
And that's one of the few things that we can control.
So I'm up for other suggestions on where to whittle. And we even, with the salaries, tried to spread them out between the different funds too.
We did do that, so we
Yes, we did do that,
add
and
up all of them and divide them among the 3 funds. So that should save like 10 to 20 out of the general, correct?
yeah, it did help a little, but when you need 60,000,
What does the finance committee recommend?
Well,
Go ahead.
we had met, two weeks ago, I think it was.
yeah, it was before the last meeting.
Yeah, before the last meeting, and looked over everything and tried to move things around, and there was just no,
Wiggle room.
nothing where to go.
Yeah, because we thought we did a lot of whittling then.
Yeah, we
It
thought
didn't
we
get us
did,
too
but-
far, even then. So, I mean, it's just really gonna be strapping our belts with everything else. And we did have like 20,000 more in salaries than we did the year before. So, when you take that off, it makes it a little bit better, but you're still looking at 40,000.
Wasn't the budget in the deficit last year when we passed it?
Yes.
Yeah,
I believe it
also about
was.
40,000 too, right?
Huh? Yeah, I wanna say it was probably around 40.
When I talked to Crystal about it, she did not seem worried at all because she said that most of the things we over budget for, so she wasn't concerned at the time. I don't know.
Right, I don't think it's so much that it has to be balanced, it's that maybe maybe we're over budgeting, and that's the reason that we're in the red a little bit. She over budgeted, what'd she say? For each line item of what we spent the prior fiscal year, she, did that and then more.
And I did go through and look and, tried to look at what we had year-to-date through April and, kinda make it match. Like I said, even doing that, it's only like 20,000, you know what I mean? So
Right.
without going less than what we spent, and on some things I did do less because, like one was gifts and contributions. It was $2,000. Well, to me, if we're $57,000 in the hole, we don't need to be making extra gifts and contributions, so that was 2,000 of it right there. Things like that. Advertising was budgeted for 2,500. Well, we only used like 800 last year. So taking that down, you know what I mean? So some of those, if we didn't spend as much, I tried to, but there's not $60,000 worth of that you can really do. Without really cutting, a bunch of other
So
stuff.
even after the business district, all that got switched around, that was all switched around before the last one.
Yeah.
Well, what's everybody think? I mean, we have 90 days from June 1 to turn in our appropriations to the clerk. So we can either keep trying to figure out ways to, make this budget balance out a little bit better. I don't know, what's everyone think?
What does the finance committee recommend?
Well, at this time, when we had sat down and we, tried, like she was saying, contributions, just different things, where can we cut, any corner we could cut, that we could cut it. We could go back and go through again and see if there's anything else that.
See, my only concern about just passing it with that big of a deficit is then, if Streets and Alleys has this much money and they spend it all,
Right.
and we don't really have that, you know what I mean?
Yes.
That if we could do that, I want a budget that Streets and Alleys or, whomever, the police department, they can stay, they know this is what I have to spend and I need to stay in that. If we give them too much, then they may spend it all and they think, oh, they won't spend it all, but then they will. So
Right.
I'd rather, if we have to if the finance committee has to get with the street and the police to kind of maybe tweak theirs a little bit and say, okay, in this number, what were you considering? So we can kind of see, does he have a project that really needs to be done that we may want to make sure he has enough money to do that? And same thing with the police department, and kind of maybe bring some of those down a little bit too.
So we still have time to kind of.
Yeah, we still have time. We went years without having a budget at all.
Because I would like
So-
to know,
Right, we did.
the finance and.
So
things.
this is just to kind of help us keep our spending
Get on
curved
track,
and get on track and stay within our means and have some accountability to the departments to making sure that they're not.
If that's okay, Matt.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
It's come to my attention that before we approve this budget, it has to be prepared and open to the public for 30 days prior to us passing it anyways. Mike was looking at 50 ILCS 330 out of the municipal code. Jordan had a chance to look over before the meeting. It says at least one public hearing should be held as to such budget and appropriation ordinance prior to final action thereon. Notice of which shall be given by publication in an English language newspaper published in such municipality at least 30 days prior to the time of such hearing. We never really did do a budget. We do our tax stuff by appropriation, but it says adoption of budget and passage of annual appropriation ordinance required. I think it's in our best interest to follow this rule. That would mean, Mike, when would the next paper come out?
The end of this month.
The end of this month. And then 30 days from there, we'd be in almost 60 days, so we'd be cutting it close.
Well, and I think too, for some clarification, I think the ordinance also allows publication by pamphlet, so I think, let me double check that to make sure, because if we need to get it in the paper, we can, but I think there's another option that can get it in the public
Right.
faster than that, and if that's not the case, then we've got, when does the newspaper get published? Okay.
Can we do it in the Lincoln paper?
We could, yeah, I guess we
I
could.
mean, that would be quicker if you wanna start your 30 days.
Yes,
The fire district does it in pamphlet form.
do they?
My concern is whether or not the special district rules apply to the municipality here.
I would assume they do. but
Yeah, I agree, and I think pamphlet would probably be the fastest way, so. I'll get back to you on that.
Right. Okay, so we look to table the budgets then? To continue to work on them, does that sound right with everybody? I'll entertain a motion to table.
A second.
Make a motion to table
I second.
budgets, on budgets.
Gonna have it all.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. On a new business, building inspector questions?
Is Greg here?
Just right here.
He said yesterday, I think had planned on being here,
He
but
was
he would be
planning on
coming
it,
from a funeral, or, you know.
He had several questions. I'll bring up the ones that I can remember. One, not so much questions as,
Issues concerned, yeah.
yeah. One, he would like to see the fences in town require a building permit. Most of the issues in town that are faced are from fences, and he thinks that we should require a building permit for those. Second, we had a building permit for
Anything?
a handicap ramp, and he thought that maybe that shouldn't require a building permit, so he thought that we should specify what requires a building permit or not. Right now, it just says structure and it's very vague, so he went with the vague interpretation and then the specific one.
I think attached too, there was something with it being attached, but, yeah.
His biggest question was, who should he report to and how that should work? He would like to have a council member that he can talk to and kind of get guidance if there's a major issue to come to the council or whatever. He's been talking to me a lot, but if it doesn't need to be me, that's fine, so I don't know what everybody thinks about that. How should the building inspector operate? Should he report to the mayor directly? Do you have an alderman? What do people know about that?
And he can report to me, that's fine, unless somebody else is interested in building inspections and would like to take that on if they show interest in it. But I would.
I am interested in that, and I've been talking to him some and just kind of like show him in the code book where things are and kind of point things out, but it certainly doesn't have to be me.
I'm okay with it being you, Andrew, as long as everybody else is.
I'm okay with that.
The last thing was our building codes in town are from 2005. They come out every 3 years, so there's a 2015 edition and a 2018 edition. He recommended that we update to the 2015 edition, and it's as simple as saying, calling out in our ordinance that we require 2015 building codes.
Okay.
So those are the 4 things that I'm aware of. If he was here, he could probably speak to more.
Did he talk to you too about like doing something in the paper as far as with the rental things to like say something to, you know, different times that for their landlords that there's, you know, they may be renting something and, you know, just so everybody's aware of what the ordinance is, and when you have a new tenant come in with a certain amount of time frame from your last inspection, you have to have it re-inspected and different things like that. Has he talked with you about that?
Yes,
Okay.
and my guidance was, he doesn't need the council approval to do what I would consider his job, but
To post,
to
okay.
say what he was trying to do, he wanted to put something in the paper that reminded anybody renting a property in town that there are requirements, they have to get inspected and stuff like that. And it is up to the renter or the rental owner to comply with those. So he wanted to kind of announce, reminding everybody, and if
Post it.
somebody doesn't come in, he will write a ticket, but be lenient at first to get cooperation, and then if it's an issue there, proceed with the request.
Question, in reference to
Yes,
the Boca,
yes.
are they Boca codes? Are you using the Boca building codes? Or you just, are you
I
gonna,
would direct that question to him.
because they're very extensive.
So right now we have 2005.
I assume it's the International Property Maintenance Code or International Building Code, the international,
In our discussions, we refer to it as the building codes,
Well, the Boca codes are the international standard pretty much, I think.
and I would imagine that's what it is.
They're very, very extensive.
So the downsides of not updating to new codes are, I don't know, maybe about the same as the good sides of requiring people to build new standards. Makes things more expensive, higher standards, I don't know, but is it better for the town in the long run? Maybe I will put that on a future agenda item, we can have open discussion. I'm guessing your comment there is as far as open discussion will go.
Well, the Boca codes are very extensive, and I don't know if you can pick and choose which parts of them you want, but once you put them in place, if you intend to enforce them, they are very extensive. They're made for the big city, and where they have normal inspections by fire departments and all kinds of different things, so they're very extensive. If you want to adopt them, they're a good standard, but I think you have to enforce them and adhere to them.
What other options are?
Well, I'll leave that for you to research.
City of Decatur adopts the ICC codes, the International Code Commission, and they've got a set of codes for new buildings, old buildings, rental properties, just about everything has a code adopted for it, and the public comment is right there, voluminous, but, you know, there's pros and cons we can talk about.
The reason that this came up is we had a entity contact the building inspector asking what our codes were. He wanted to build a new, I can't give out much information. He wanted to build something. He was willing to build it to the latest standards, but he inquired about it, and when he was told that we only have 2005, he was like, oh, fine, I'll build to those standards. So that was at least one entity that could have afforded to build to the higher standards, but it goes both ways. That's all I had for that. I expected Greg to be here tonight to speak.
Last I thought he said he was, so.
We can continue to look into it for sure, so. Anything else on the building inspector questions? Okay, moving on, fireworks stand within the city limits. I believe that they're planning on doing it in the same spot they do each year out there by Stalls, well, not out by Stalls, but out, what's the name of that road?
Bates Road.
Bates Road. It's the same guy that's done it every year. He seems to do a good job. He has given us a copy of his insurance. It's obviously up for discussion, but he needs approval from us to do it before he can get his license from the state, so.
And he doesn't really, there's nothing in our codes that excludes him from doing that, but for him to get a license, he has to have something from the city saying that we don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, just a letter on the, a short letter, which I copied it from previous years that he had emailed. So I've got it ready to sign, but just so I can send it to him tomorrow, but.
I think he's done a great job. I will make a motion to allow him to sell fireworks again this year.
Motion and second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
I'll put that in your box to sign.
Okay, I'll sign it before tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll sign it before. The appointment of committees, I've been in contact with some of the aldermen about what they would and would not be interested in, and this is what I came up with. Finance, Joyce Maxheimer will remain on finance, and the new appointment there will be Rachel West. On streets, I would like to have Andrew and Mike. That would be his first appointment. Police would be Daryl and Aaron. And water and sewer would continue to be Andrew and Aaron. have a problem with that, or if they do, or if they really don't wanna do something, they can let me know, and we can certainly change it again.
Do we need to approve those appointments?
You know where the standing committees are at, this is in the city council section, chapter 6. Standing committees, the following shall be the standing committees: finance, police, street and alleys, waterworks. The mayor shall appoint special committees as he may deem necessary or as directed by the council. Membership of committees. The mayor shall appoint the members of all standing and special committees in the absence of specific direction by the council, and shall designate the chair thereof. Every committee of the council shall consist of you're supposed to have 3 members on all of them? I thought it was just 2.
Unless the city council shall provide otherwise.
Oh, okay. Which,
I assume you're providing otherwise, yeah.
doesn't say anything about approving, but it would probably wouldn't be a bad idea if you guys in the motion approve the appointments.
I would make a motion to approve your appointments.
Motion and second, is there any further discussion?
Could you repeat those names on each committee again?
Yes. Finance will be Joyce and Rachel.
Okay.
Streets will be Andrew and Mike. Police will be Daryl and Aaron. And water and sewer will be Andrew and Aaron.
Okay, great, thank you.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Aaron.
On the committees, Matt?
Yes.
I've been told that long ago on the committee meeting night that the council would break up and do like sessions, committee meetings then. I don't know how that would look and how it would work with different things, but, I'm open to entertaining that idea to have our committee meetings meet that night in one place and kind of formalize it a bit.
You would certainly save down on the meetings, you know, having to go to a different meeting on a Monday night or a Sunday night, or what's everybody think about that? You wanna give that a try next time, at the next meeting? We can do it at the next meeting.
And I think what everyone's been doing before is meeting like at, 5:30, 6 o'clock prior to the meeting.
So we would have the water meeting before the committee meeting, but,
Makes sense.
so,
So you're saying like the meeting would be called to order, and then we would break up into our committees and have our meetings then?
I do not have a solid understanding of how it used to work. Maybe we can inquire that, but something along those lines. Maybe we could ask Mike or Rick.
Kind of going on the Wayback Machine. I think that the meetings of the committee were rather informal, and I do believe that there were 3 on committees, but that was before the days of the Open Meetings Act, so I think they were more informal. And the committees would meet at their leisure and report to council with their findings, so I don't see anything wrong with making them, like you suggest, when they're gonna be, and I think it's a good idea.
Well, I think then too, Rick, our 2 meetings each month was both voting meetings, and the committees met willy-nilly and reported at the meetings.
Yeah.
We didn't have a committee meeting, so.
Yeah, we just reported at our leisure and then made recommendations to council.
I'm not saying that's the way it should be done, but.
So you're saying that every meeting was a voting meeting?
Yeah. Well, of the council meetings, the 2 monthly meetings. We had no committee meeting of the council. First and second and fourth was both voting meetings.
And so the committee meetings are normally the 4th Tuesday then?
I don't know, something to think about. It sounds like that's a different interpretation of what it used to be like than what I've heard, so, I don't know, something.
Right, definitely something, we can look at the ordinance book and see what it says and move on from there. Yes, Mike?
The going to 2 members on the committees, was to avoid the problem of having 3 members when they used to do that. They just have a committee meeting, but because certain council members were on more than one committee, they had to break that committee up. People were waiting and then go to their next committee. So then they went to 2 just for that reason, because they could all meet at the same time and report. But as far back as, that's a long time ago.
Right,
That's before computers.
right? Right. Okay, so, there you go. I believe I spoke with all of you. I don't know that Joyce, if I ever mentioned it to you, but I added business district appropriation to the agenda on Sunday afternoon, sometime around 2:30. I let some aldermen know. Did you see, they met last night and discussed the business district grants? Did everybody get that handout? They're in one box. This is what they came up with, as far as the grants that they're going to be giving out to the businesses and/or organizations. Yeah, I had a chance to read through it real quick. Eric Emmerich is obviously a member of the Economic Development Board, so he would be willing to answer any questions that you have.
Tim or Eric?
Tim, no, gosh, not Eric, Tim.
Were these the only 3 applications received?
There was, what, 9 altogether, Tim?
I was thinking there were 7.
7?
And those were the 3 that we felt comfortable with approving at this time due to the applicant's completeness, and that the rest of the applicants will be providing additional information to fill in the blanks that meet the criteria for the grants, and they will be submitted as they're approved in the coming weeks.
Like, for example, if I remember, there was a couple of them that didn't really, they wanted to ask money for repairs to their storefront building, but didn't really have a budget or any type of estimate of exactly what it would cost. They were just kind of asking for, say, $5,000, and the development board found that's really probably not the best way to go about it. You know, they kind of decided that it's not going to be so much as we'll give you an X amount of dollars to fix it. It's like you fix it and then we'll pay the bill. You know, that's kind of how most grants work, anyways. So. But like he said, there were some that were incomplete, and they didn't feel comfortable passing them, and so we're waiting on more information from a couple.
Another question is, I think we allocated so much of the business district money that could be spent on grants such as these. Will you guys monitor how much you're abstaining, or do we need to be conscious of the fact that you spent so much?
We're holding true to the budget that was submitted as part of the budget package that was approved at the meeting 2 times ago, or?
Yeah, I don't know if everybody's got a copy of that, but I can sure get you one. Or Tim, if you still have an e-file of it, if you can send it out to the alderman.
Yeah.
Or to me, and I can forward it on. But the business district did come up with a budget, and I believe the grants was, they figured $35,000 for the fiscal year.
30,000 is the number that's off the top of my head, but that's very vigilant of that number at this time, so. But we're trying to adhere to the budget that was submitted to you folks as part of your larger package.
Instead of doing them each individually, I would think it'd just be okay to get a motion to approve $11,464 from the business district fund to the Economic Development and Planning Board for their grants. And then they were sure that each one of these goes along with our development and redevelopment plan, so we should be good there.
I believe we taxed the group with this goal, and I think we should proceed with it. So I'll make a motion to allocate that amount of money.
$11,464.
And that was 2,000 for the fire department, and then what was the other?
2,000 for the fire, $5,000 for the Hilltop Club, and $4,464 to the Historical Society. And Mike, I can get you a copy of this to tell what they're gonna, what their plans are with what they're gonna do.
That'll be fine.
I have a motion from Andrew, is there a second?
Second.
Second from Joyce. Since this is a matter of appropriation, I would like to ask for roll call.
Alderman Canower,
Yes.
Maxheimer,
Yes.
Noble,
Yes.
Palmquist,
Yes.
West.
Yes.
Motion passes.
You forgot
I
mine.
forgot Barber.
Oh. It'll be first.
Sorry.
First.
Yeah, I got added to my list. Barger.
Yes.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. I'll get over it. Might take you 2 days. One last deal.
Matt, I know we've had appropriations for the business district cause this issue several times. I propose that